As early as As early as 2019, whistleblower. Don't talk over me.
No,
as
no,
early
you're
as
talking over me.
2019, it's my hearing, pal. As early as
I'm not your pal.
2019,
Don't call me
whistleblowers came to. Well, I should call you prisoner because you ought to be in jail.
Well, we'll see what you can do
In
about it.
2019, whistleblowers came to you in your office and referred to you fraud allegations from Feeding Our Futures, and you blew them off. Listen, your own state newspaper
That's a lie.
investigated it. The Minnesota Star Tribune, the Partners in Nutrition, brought its concerns to the Attorney General's office in 2018 and in 2019, and you did nothing. You did nothing for years. The only action you took is once all these fraudsters came to your office and asked you to get involved and offered you money, then you got involved. Then you took the money and then you got involved.
They did not come to my office. You're completely wrong about that.
You met with them for 54 minutes, and you took $10,000.
This administration is racist. There's just no other way to put it. You know, I really think maybe there is some deep issues there. Like, it is just purely racist. And so there is a hatred of black people. There is a complete disrespect for women. You know, most men are extremely protective of women. But we're living with an administration that has normalized sexual assault. And so there is no value for me as a human being. And I understand that. There is no value for my life. And there is a who does she think she is?
Right.
You define white identity and what you think is being erased about white identity?
Certain types of Anglo-derived culture that comes from our history.
Like what?
Let me think about this. You know, Senator, I would say if you were to look at the book by one of your former Senate colleagues, Born Fighting, about the sort of Scotch-Irish military culture and certain, you know, pride that went with that, that would be one example. Obviously, you could have sub-elements of that culture. You could have Italians, you could have Irish, and those are in many ways more.
But you're worried about white culture. You're not worried about, you're now retreating to ethnic identity. You don't speak about ethnic identity. You speak about white identity. So tell me the values that stitch together white identity and that make it different than black identity.
I would say that the white church is very different than the black church in terms of its tone and style on average. Foodways could often be different.
And those
music could be different.
And those are being erased.
Music could be different. Well, if you look at the Super Bowl halftime show, which was not in English this year.
So our ability to access white churches or white food or white music is being erased?
I am concerned with the majority common American culture that we had for some time that through particularly mass immigration, I think has become much more balkanized, and I think that weakens us. And again, I'm not running away from that comment. I'm not apologizing for it.
Well, I'm way over my time. I think you're struggling to answer this question, right? Because underlying your beliefs is a sentiment that white culture is just simply better.
And it's not. It's not. Welcome. Good morning to Black Press USA's morning show, where we bring you the headlines and the culture. I want to bring in our special guest co-host, Al Reynolds. He's a culture architect, Fox 5 contributor, HBCU professor of comm and economics. Good morning, Al.
Good morning. Good morning, Nichelle. Good morning. It's early over there for you, right?
Did you just call me?
I made Nichelle, right? Niel. You started off on the wrong side of the table, huh?
Right. Well, we need some joy after watching those 3 videos,
right?
Because that is the state of our government, Al.
You're right. You know, and it's just really sad. It's beyond sad, actually. It's disrespectful. It's just
watching it is disrespectful.
It's just beyond disrespectful. But you know what? It's really awakening something that the African American community, the Black and Brown community, just people that look like you and I, it's really starting to wake us up more in 2026 than it did in 2025, and that's what I'm even more excited about.
Okay, well, yeah, we need some excitement because the way that Josh Harley talked to Keith Ellison was just totally disrespectful. And then it
Oh, for
takes a
sure.
black woman to kind of center what's going on. And then you think about when I watched the third video and I thought about all of the erasure of federal jobs that predominantly were held by black women. And now you
Mhm.
see white men being, just spread out all throughout our government.
Mhm.
And so instead of now black people in the federal government, you have white racists.
You know what's so interesting about that, Neil, is that I live and I'm located primarily in Washington, D.C. And
Mhm.
Washington, D.C. is where all those federal jobs saw the largest cut. And what you saw was in my mind, and I teach in PG County. I teach at Bowie State University, which is the oldest university the oldest HBCU in the state of Maryland. And
Mhm.
Prince George County is one of the wealthiest African American communities in the country. So I want to be very clear. And that base grew from their federal jobs. So to have a president intentionally focus on eliminating jobs that not only disproportionately affected African Americans, but African American women in particular, you're watching him erode the economic base of the African American community. And when you do that, you're basically taking power from us from participating with our economies that we have created. And that's the part that is the saddest, because in every
Mhm.
policy, in everything that he has instituted since being back in that White House, has been to the detriment of people that look like you and I, to the detriment of our economic power. And he knows that he can't our voice is larger, right? Our voices are
Mhm.
very clear now. Our influences are becoming clear more than ever. So where do you hit black people or people of color the hardest when you want to marginalize them? You hit them in their pockets. And that's what he's done with eliminating so many jobs in the government.
So many jobs. And the story, we saw Rep Ayanna Presley, I think end of last week, talking about the loss of black jobs. And then you see his administration all of a sudden get on TV and talk about there's a job rise, but yet you have taken away the statistics that we know.
Right.
Like, remember we used to get that every month,
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
jobs. But he only pops out when there's a headline that's coming, just like this headline about they are removing ICE agents from LA. They're removing them from allegedly Minnesota. But this is all because today they need federal funding. And so now they're trying to say, oh, we're not doing that anymore. So you can give us the money. I hope that Democrats hold the line. And if we have to have another shutdown, that's just what has to happen, because ICE does not deserve any more federal funding.
Well, I mean, that goes without saying. I think the super sad part is everything that comes out of the White House, all of the rhetoric, all of the conversations are false. They are intentionally false, which makes it even more propaganda level, higher than anything that we've ever witnessed in all of the years of our presidencies and all of the different presidents that have been seated in that office. I think with the ISIS conversation, it's beyond sad. It's beyond a misappropriation of funds. It's a scare tactic that's being used not only for immigrants, but also for all Americans that don't have skin that is the color of the administration. And hopefully, not hopefully, I'm going to speak positivity into this. We're going to figure out a way how to end all of this nonsense, and hopefully it will happen within 2026.
I love it. Let's bring some joy into the room. Okay, so Nancy Wall is saying they ain't getting paid. um, or G says Anglo culture is inbreeds, pedophilias, plantation Christianity, and unseasoned food. Ooh, okay. And then Orangey also says he's rocking his SWAC hoodie. Today is SWAC hoodie day, and he's rocking
Right.
his Southern University. So HBCUs are in the house. Another thing,
Don't forget everybody that's watching it in the comments and who's watching it. It's not only today is Black Love Day, February 13th. It's Black Love Day. Put your hands together for Black love, community love, social love, all the love that affects us. It's Black Love Day.
Okay, so put some emoji hearts in the day. He just took one of my black facts, but that's okay. But yeah, put those heart emojis in there. But one of the things that white guy that was testifying was saying, he said that white church is different and they do things different, but they stole our praise and worship. If you go to a white evangelical church now, all of their songs, all of their praise and worship comes and stems from the black church. And I would bet your bottom dollar that those praise and worship leaders and those choir directors are listening to Fred Hammond. They're listening to Maverick City before, because they're singing their songs. So for him to say that, I don't even think he knows what he hears when he goes to church, because all of that church and all of that music is based upon black gospel music.
And a good thing it is, because I'm gonna tell you, I'm biracial. My father's Catholic, my mother is a Southern Baptist. Imagine that if you can. And let me tell you something: the black church is where I really learned to appreciate the praise and worship, to appreciate the verb of the church. And it also, in my difficult week, it gave me hope. It was the introduction of hope that I could get through whatever it was, that the adversities that I was experiencing. Whereas at the other church, I was asleep and wondering when is it going to be over so that I can get something to eat. So
yeah,
I don't know exactly what he's talking. I think he's talking about, in my opinion, just another way of trying to flex why the white community and the white church should be valued over the black community and the black church. And the problem is, across the globe, when you sell hope, so hope has to come with some type of ignition, right? And the black church does that. So regardless of what your race is, regardless of what your culture is, or regardless of what your ethnicity is, the black church and how they celebrate gives people hope. And that's exactly what religion is, or that's exactly what the church house should be served for.
That's
beyond just teaching you the word and obviously.
Amen and amen. All right, so we're talking about politics, and now the queens of hip hop have entered the political arena. So Cardi B officially kicked off her 2026 tour day before yesterday. I don't know if you saw it, but the clips are everywhere. Are we gonna listen to it? Okay, let's do it. We can't hear it. Well, basically, that is her telling her audience, issuing a direct warning to ICE, saying if ICE comes in here, we gonna jump their ass. They ain't taking my asses. There you go.
Bitch, I got some bear mace in the back. They ain't taking my fans, bitch. Let's go.
They ain't taking her fans. So here's the funny part about that. The Department of, well, seriously too, it's funny, but it's crazy. The Department of Homeland Security took to their official social handle and decided to respond with the tweet. I don't know if we have the tweet, but it basically said, as long as she doesn't drug and rob our agents, we'll consider that an improvement over her past behavior. Okay. And then within hours, Cardi hit back and said, if we talking about drug, let's talk about Epstein and friends drugging underage girls to rape them. Why y'all don't want to talk about the Epstein files? Let's stop right there for a minute. Al, I'm gonna let you comment.
Man, let me tell you something. There's one thing that Cardi B knows about, and that is the clapback, correct? And I love the fact that in this, I don't want to say this wrong, but I'm going to say it anyway, right? I love and support how our African-American females, our Spanish, American females are using their platform and their influence for good, especially during this current administration, with the exception, like we all know, of Nikki B, right? So I love the fact that, number one, she was like, I don't care who you are. You could be Homeland Security. You could be the FBI. I'm going to tell you how I feel. So you want to try to jump into the chat. First of all, when do federal agencies start jumping into the chat? When do federal agencies start using PR in their social media platforms to kind of crack jokes and also try to demonize our community leaders, our musical influencers? Because, you know, musical is universal. So that's who they attack the most. And that's also who they recruit the most, because they know that they have a fan base that is huge. And what comes out of their mouth influences how that fan base reacts, correct? So there are two things going on here that I enjoy, but I'm also concerned about. I love the fact that she is not afraid to clap back. I love the fact that she's not afraid to use her platform to let people know where she stands, where they can always feel safe, and that she's going to use her voice to protect the protectless. I also love the fact that she's calling out Homeland Security. You know, most of us are afraid of the federal government. It was always this kind of mystique around it because they made up the rules as they went. And to have someone who's a cultural influencer like her to speak in this space and say, hey, what you're not going to do is talk to me disrespectful and try to intimidate me to shut my mouth. Because that's not going to happen on this stage. That's not going to happen in this time of age. And baby, that just ignited something in me that I was like, that's my girl. Because on the other side of that, you have the ignorance of Nicki Minaj tap dancing for the administration, which makes you want to really go beat her up, and the Barbs who are still standing around defending her. It's beyond sick to me to watch that manifesto happen, because they've chose someone who they felt like was beyond reproach for our community, only to find out that they partnered with someone who is really diluting their message and their mission surrounding this.
Yeah, she's supporting the SAVE Act, and we talked about that yesterday, which is basically a bill of voter suppression for Black folks, people of color, and especially women. White women are going to be affected, but I want white women to get mad, okay? They need to get mad enough, because this is going to affect them too. The SAVE Act isn't just going to impact Black folks and people of color. It is affecting women. You know, if you get married again, and you go vote, if you don't have your papers, your birth certificate, you know, you're not going to be able to vote. But I also want to point out, you said about Cardi B, the hypocrisy is what she called out. Because if you want to talk about drugs, let's talk about Epstein and his friends drugging young girls. If you want to have the conversation, federal government. And I think she hit the nail on the head harder than some of these Democrats. Okay.
Oh, for sure.
Just called it out.
Well, you know, the good thing about Cardi B is not afraid of being a gangster. And I've said this 100 times before as I speak more into the political space. We have to become gangsters against this administration, because this administration are not hoodlums. They are worse than hoodlums. And so we have to meet them with the same type of resistance that they're given in leadership, correct? So that's one thing that she has always been, as a person who spoke her mind. And it needs to ignite the base. Everyone's trying to get this young base. She has her finger on that pulse. We need to ignite that young base to rise up. No one's following any rules. No one's following the regular policies. And to be honest, this administration is not following the Constitution. So what does that take? That takes people that are defending rules, policies, and constitutions to do the same. That's what we need to start doing. So we need to be renegades. And let's talk about this really quickly about women. See, they attack women intentionally. They attack women purposefully. They attack women strategically, right? So they use them in one arm, especially when we just look at pop culture, they use them in one arm, Nicki Minaj, and they attack the other arm as Cardi B. Now, this is the reason they should and they better, because they know Black women mobilize our communities across the country. Black women are the voices that give reason and teach us the strategies that we have to employ in order to survive. So you have to dehumanize her. You have to weaponize her. You have to provide, you have to use her as a conduit to either empower the community or disenfranchise. And so what they're trying to do is use it to disenfranchise our community. And I love how we have over here a Trinidadian Black female and a Puerto Rican fighting against it. That, baby, is the best entertainment I have seen in a long time.
And I'm telling you, they probably had to put Nikki in a straitjacket yesterday because, you know, she popped out, but Cardi B popped louder. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so you have like, and I think we might be set up this year for that type of political battle between Cardi B making, you know, stands and speaking for Black and brown people in that way, and then you have this Nicki Minaj thing happening over here. So it's going to be interesting that hip hop has entered the political chat. And you talked about Black women, and I think that's why it was so important to center what's happening to our country around somebody like Fonnie Willis and what she said. I mean, I think she centered what's happening in our country, you know, that we're being run by white supremacists. And they don't care about us. You know, it's not us. It's their ideology. She's like, that's just what it is.
I think the most exciting part is in excuse me for, I don't know if this is going to come out right, but you know, you got the wrong one on here today, right? We as African Americans under this administration have received a tremendous amount of attacks and a constant on a daily basis being disenfranchised in our American society. What I love the most that I witnessed in the last 5 days is that we have had to toe that line mostly, if we're really honest, by ourselves in this subset of American culture as minorities. Okay. What you did wrong, sir, is you created this environment that the country has witnessed, and then you attacked, and not only have you been attacking, but after the Super Bowl, you decided that you wanted to publicly attack Latinos and Hispanics. Well, baby, that's where you made the mistake, because now they have entered the chat. We should, and this is the part I love about Cardi B. She has joined the Latino and Hispanic community to the African American community in a stronger way now more than ever, because of what we've seen be exposed from the White House, from our president on this past Sunday and Monday, as he demoralized the halftime show of the largest stage in America, if not the world, and said that it basically, in essence, that there's no space for them in this country to have a voice, the same as there's no space in this country for African Americans to keep the voice that they've been given. I am so excited about this pivot, because what this pivot creates is now a them against us. And baby, that's when my gloves come out and I'm ready to fight the hardest, when it's a them against us. And now that we have mobilized even more with the Hispanic community, it gives me hope. Right? It gives me hope, because there's no way that you can suppress all of us and all of our influence and all of our voices. And you have picked a fight now, sir, that not only you're not prepared for, but your cabinet, your MAGA, and all of you right-wing extremists are not prepared for what you're about to see moving forward in the next 90 to 180 days.
Well, I think it's going to take all of Where? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I got to weigh in on the fact that historically, hip hop has always come out and made a statement, right? And you know that we're not hearing anything from hip hop, right? It says so much about our culture. And then you have these two icons, and you got, so now we're talking about African American or Black, right? And the only ones that we hearing say anything and coming from out of hip hop that they're standing with Trump, that's an amazing. It is a stunning. It's stunning to see this.
I think that's a great point. I think that's a great point to the extent of the historical context of what you're saying, Greer. Hip hop means to the culture and even just arts, mixing art and activism, going far back to the civil rights movement. When you've seen people like Aretha Franklin contributing, you've seen people like Harry Belafonte and Sidney Poitier. It's just something that our culture traditionally does. So I think that is a great point to point out, to see, the context of where Black people are right now, especially those with money that have broken the generational wealth curse. They're building generational wealth, and they're choosing to side with white supremacists.
I think that,
right.
The manifesto of it is siding. Let's be very clear. The manifesto of it is siding with white supremacy or the white culture, but that's only because we're making more money. We've been recruited. We've been brainwashed. We've been what, I don't know if the right word here, because I'll say something derogatory, but we've been sold. Okay, I feel like a large portion of them are being silenced because they don't want to go back to where it and how it used to be. They like having money. They like having influence. They like having a seat at the table that they've usually haven't been invited to have a seat at. But the sad part is you've got to learn how to use your influence and your money and your power to institute change that's going to better your community, right? You can't use your influence, your money, and your power to then have a seat at the table, but don't want anybody else to sit there.
Let's get through some of these comments because the chat is now chiming in. Orangey says the Latino Hispanic community has a lot to clean up. There are way too many of them who think they are white racist people, and a lot of them are ICE agents. That's a great point. Nancy Wall says, as they gave his white MAGA base Kid Rock, and he watched the Super Bowl with all those women shaking in their faces, they saw what they couldn't have. And then Mike B says, don't forget Steve Harvey, Jim Brown hiked their Negro behinds up to Trump Tower in the first administration. Okay, he's saying don't forget. Dr. Marilyn says hip hop, that's a stretch. True conscious rap has always been political. I don't consider Cardi or Nicki hip hop. They are recording artists. Ooh.
Oh, listen, I agree 100%.
Yeah, that could be a fair assessment. I think, though, you just have to understand it's the evolution of music. It's the evolution of having to sell music, and it's the evolution of how you create it in order to touch people that are out here currently at the age to buy it. I sit in classrooms with individuals between the ages of 18 to 24 every day, and how I have to, in order to teach them, I have to change the mechanisms in which I traditionally would use. Believe me, I have to now use social media. I have to use pop culture. I have to use music. I have to use trends to teach people basic African American history. So I get it. Back in the day, you're right. Rap with the birth of rap was social justice, right? The want for the reform. And now it's just done to me in how you communicate music and you communicate influence. It's done a different way. And although they call them recording artists, although I understand what you're saying, that's what it looks like in this century.
Yeah, I think that when you consider, like self-destruction, remember, I don't know how,
Yes, I do.
Self-destruction, even Ice Cube, you know what I mean?
Oh,
his first single, right? It was political. NWA was political, right? And so for this era of hip hop to come out in support of Trump, is extremely disturbing, and it says so much. It makes me feel like we talk about losing our culture. That right there. I mean,
Right.
it's you know.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, the funny part is, I don't know, we should be talking about Ice Cube now. I don't know, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
but you know,
But when he first came out, that's what it was.
I think once again, and I say this because I sit in a room with young Black minds, our future leaders, and the conversation to me is it's more, instead of about just basic rights, right? Basic rights. They have no clue. They're so disconnected to basic rights that our thought leaders and our heroes of the past have had to fight for. All they view now is that money is going to solve all their problems. Influence is going to solve all their problems. Power is going to solve all their problems. They don't even really are connected to what the real problem was and is, right? They think it's all financial or finance based, and it's not. And that's what they've been sold by the right side, right? By the extremists, that the reason why you're not in this club is because you don't have the financial fortitude to be in this club. You don't have the educational fortitude to be here. And so our answer to that in many ways was, let us make enough money to be accepted. But what they don't understand, it has nothing to do with class, right? It has nothing to do with money. It is strictly, in most cases, race-based. And this administration is showing you that he doesn't care what your influence is.
I think you brought up a good point. We had Dr. Wes Bellamy on the show, and he's a professor at Virginia State. He's actually the chair of political science. And some of the things that he was saying about his students are kind of, speaking to what you're saying when we talk about the Gen Z and how they think, and how their mindset and their values and their priorities are different from a upper millennial and a Gen X and a baby boomer. And so I think those are the type of intergenerational conversations that we need to start having, because if they don't wake up, they might be like Mary, shackles on my feet, so can't dance, okay? Because they dancing now. And, they might make up with shackles. And so we have to continue to have these conversations. Mike V chimed in and said, Public Enemy, Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos. Greer. That's what he said to you. And Lady Leo says, cultural narcissism has played a major role. And then Battle Jam says, what is money without freedom, without rights? Great point as well. Let's move to our next story, where this is interesting. Where are we going? I'm sorry. In a historic bipartisan move, the press gallery overlooking the U.S. House chamber has been officially renamed after abolitionist Frederick Douglass. Now, you guys get this. This was spearheaded by Byron Donalds, and he's supported by the Congressional Black Caucus. So this was a bipartisan move, and the dedication honors Douglass as the first African-American reporter admitted to the Capitol Press Galleries. That's a great fact as we celebrate 199 years of Black press. But I think it's interesting. Well, it's not interesting. I mean, a broke clock can be right twice a day. And I think this is the scenario with Byron Donalds, who's running for governor for the state of Florida.
I'm sorry. I thought you froze there for a second. It's so interesting to watch this, right? This is really very colorful. Although I'm super excited to see this, it's deserved, obviously, right? It's deserved but it's like a juxtaposition here. It's like I'm really confused because Douglass, is an orator. So he's an orator who speaks into the space, and we're talking about journalism, right? We're talking about freedom of speech. We're talking about the symbolism, and I love it because it symbolizes being loud. This is a man who fought to be heard and now literally honored in a space where journalism watches power. However, they're being silenced, which is so crazy. They're being arrested, which is so crazy. So it's like, okay, administration, what are you doing here? Is this like one of those, okay, I'll give you something? Because right now we demonize people for speaking up. Like we're firing all of our journalists. We're taking their voice away from them, and especially if the voice doesn't match the voice of the administration. So what are you actually saying? Like, are you saying, okay, now by doing this, which is great, you're now saying, okay, protect the press, fund local news, and stop acting like what the heck is going on to me? So I'll take it, but
is he saying something weird?
Huh?
Okay, yeah. I think you just hit the nail on the head. He was the first. What was he? The first to go into the first reporter to admit it. And Byron, you see what's happening to Black media, how Black dollars aren't pouring into Black media. So what are you really doing? Are you really stepping in and leaning into this? Because symbolic gestures are not enough, bro. No. Thank you, but it's not enough. Get us some federal, get the Black press, get Black-owned media, get independent, protect independent journalists. Georgia Fort and Don Lemon were just arrested. Okay. If you're going to stand up there and talk about Frederick Douglass, protect the First Amendment right.
Right.
Protect
because otherwise it's a slap in the face. And I wanted to chime in with Lady Leo and Dr. Marilyn. I'm going to butcher that last name. I'm not even going to try it. I love the term
Dr. Marilyn.
Oh, Dr. Brown, I love the term cultural narcissism as well. I mean, it's at its highest and finest level now. I think it's a term that we should start teaching in my school of communications because it is definitely a form. It's definitely a form that's being created right before our eyes with this administration and their rollout.
Yeah, he's not and he's not playing either. Don't think that might not be in his syllabus or his curriculum moving forward. Cultural narcissism, and lean into that because that is a good quote. Yeah, Dr. Marilyn, she's always, and Lady Leo are dropping jewels in the chat. And more unsettling news, environmental justice advocates are sounding the alarm after administration officially erased the endangerment finding regarding carbon pollution. Okay. So the NAACP director of environmental and climate justice stated the move lacks regard for everyday people because Black Americans are statistically more likely to live in areas with higher pollution levels. Critics argue this rollback removes the last federal shield protecting frontline communities from climate-related health risks. And this is true. This is true. And so earlier this week, Al, we talked about, which is something that, affects, your college, all colleges, the World Fact Book, where journalists and students go, they just erase that this month.
Yeah.
And so now you see the erasure of these statistics that predominantly impact Black communities. They continue to roll back and disenfranchise and hurt our communities.
And they're not making any qualms about it, Neil. And not only do you not want us to speak, not only do you not want us to have rights, not only do you not want us to go back to the plantation, now you don't even want us to breathe. Now we can't even breathe. Now we can't even get no good air. We already got bad air. Now you want to take the air that we got and make it worse. This administration is killing me. And it's so funny how to watch the rollout of all of this deregulation around something that should be basic for even dogs can breathe good air. Even the EPA makes sure that zoos get good air around zoos. Like, I'm just confused. That's going to be my word of the day. You got the wrong one on the show today. The state of America right now is just one of perplexion, confusion, and chaos. And it's intentional. It's intentional.
Yeah.
And even what's even more intentional is what they're covering. We got to understand that these are strategies and techniques and tactics that are used to traumatize us. Okay.
Yeah, that's what a terrorist is. But wait, the number
Right.
one terrorist in this nation, according to the FBI and the Homeland Security, is white men. Okay. They are the number one terrorist. So when you say terror, one of the things is mental, political, and financial. Well, those are the three: political, financial, and the mind, mental. And that's what they are doing. And they're in the White House. Mike V says just because the administration removed it doesn't mean Democrat governors and mayors can't capture that data on their own. And we know, I always talk about it, it's state and local politics that are holding the line. And you know, it's reversal. In civil rights, we needed federal law. Right. We needed federal law. Now it's reversed. In today's time, we need state law to hold the line against the federal government. That was just 1965. Okay. 1964, 1965, voting rights, civil rights. It wasn't that long ago. And we have already flipped to state over federal. And Mike V also says they will protect the bald eagle before they protect their own citizens, Brother Al. And Dr. Merlin says, shaking my head, they are killing us, Al. Where is the bubble boy when you need them?
Yeah, they're killing us and they're choking us. And I think one thing that I do want to share, and I've said this in Black History Month, it's very important that platforms like yours, platforms like mine, that we speak in this space to calm us, to keep us educated, to keep the misinformation out, because the misinformation creates the Nicki Minaj's of the culture. And that is what we don't need. So I just want to
thank God for Cardi B. If Nicki Minaj, thank God for Cardi B.
Thank God for Cardi B on the other side. I think also, I just want your viewers, and I tell my listeners all the time, this is 110% across the board. What's being covered are all bad things against the African-American community, the people of color community, the Black people in general. And you have to understand that what we read every day, every hot headline that's created is created to intimidate us, to make us frustrated, to make us upset, to scare us. So we've got to always understand how to wash that media. And one way of washing that media is definitely staying in tune and in touch with Black Press USA, staying in tune and touch that are with people that have a platform and a voice in this space like mine, although tiny. It's those people that you have to connect with so that you understand that what is happening to you, what it's created in your mind and how it's being created is intentional, and it's also unsafe. So you need to go back. We have to go back to those days where we have to go back to the Black churches. We have to go back to the community meetings that look like ours to find the real depth and versatility that we need in educating ourselves about what's really going on and what we're experiencing, so that we're not derailed into believing that we're powerless. All right, because we're not.
Right. You know, and it's just like, you know, there's so much hate coming out of, you know, I'm sorry, but you know, this administration, it is just so, and it is invoking, you know, hate. You know, I see a lot of it in the chat today, and it doesn't bother me, but I just always wonder why they come looking for us. We not in their YouTube chats. We're not following them on Twitter. We're not seeking them. We are in our Black bubble with our Black joy. And we ain't thinking about y'all, but y'all constantly are trolling Black folks. And this is something that doesn't just happen to us. It's happening to our, think about the threat. Like, this is nothing. Think about the threats that people like Jasmine Crockett have, Fonnie Willis, you know, Keith Ellison, for speaking truth to power. They are trolled. They have death threats. And so when we talk, I just don't understand why white people have, like, the trolls have so much hate in their heart, and why they come for us. Stay in your y'all podcast bubble. Go over there and talk y'all white stuff. We don't need y'all. But if you want to look and watch Black Joy, what's today? Black Love Day, right?
Black Love Day.
If you want to see some Black love, baby, here it is. And so, speaking of Black love, let's talk about some Black girl magic. I love this story. In the STEM category, students at Spelman College have gone viral for developing Plant GPT. Now, it's an AI system that literally allows for verbal communication with plants, interpreting soil moisture and sunlight needs into spoken language. Now, the project has caught the eye of major tech firms, proving once again that HBCUs are at the epicenter of innovation. Now, I never knew you could talk to a plant, but here we are, still thriving, still moving America forward in spite of it all, Al.
Yeah, well, this is amazing. Well, I grew up understanding that, plants were who you talk to. I don't know. You said you never knew that people talk to plants. I've always known, because, my mother had a green thumb. She would talk to the plants all the time. In fact, I was glad she was talking to the plants and not complaining to me a lot of that time. But it's exceptional to watch these young women at a historically Black college, all female focus, really step into this space, not only environmental space, but also in the technology space, and marrying the two, because as you know, STEM, that's an area where we usually fall shorter as people of color in our studying and as we excel in those spaces. And to watch them excel at the highest level, and to not only excel at the highest level, but be in a space that no one is really talking about. And now they're on a national, and not only national, for those who don't know, this is a global platform that they have reached. So they're speaking not only to the United States with their discovery and their innovation, they're speaking to the world. And they have found and have been awarded a space at the table now at the World Economic Panels, which is it's amazing to watch.
And Dr. Mellon said, that's awesome, Spellman. Nancy Wall says, you can't stop us. We know we're amazing. Orange G says, Neo, remember what I said. I would give my 40 acres and a mule back if white people would leave me alone.
That's right.
All right, let's go. Okay, so let's take our morning poll. We didn't do the poll because, I like to fill it out. And so now the chat is chatting. So here's the morning poll. We're going to jump into some pop culture. The Suburban Secrets debate. Now, have you seen Keke Palmer's new show, The Burbs? It's on Peacock.
I have.
Thoughts?
Oh, you want me to get? Oh, okay. Can I really? No, I don't want to pick no fights with you, because for those who don't know, Neil and I have been friends for quite some time, and she invites me over to dinner only to just verbally battle.
Not dinner, but Taco Tuesday.
Oh, Taco Tuesday. Only so for her and I to like intellectually and verbally spar. And it's always so much fun. So I'm sure I'm going to stand on the other side of the conversation with her on this. So for me, I just felt like I was set up with this movie because I thought it was going to be one thing, and it really was. I felt like it was a cultural bait and switch. I thought that we were going to talk about microaggressions that, the majority uses against African Americans, and the profiling and all of that type of stuff was going to be the basis of the show. And we were going to be able to bridge those to kind of create some type of change. But it really kind of switched. It started out like that. Literally, the series literally invokes kind of like the Get Out vibe in the beginning, right, which was setting expectations, as you know, for hard satire. But what and for us, it resonates, right? Because where do you feel safe? And what are the safety codes if you move out into the suburban? But then it quickly turned into like a quirky mystery neighborhood comedy. And for me, the social commentary just didn't feel like it was in depth enough for me. Now, Keke Palmer, exceptional talent, is going to always rise to the occasion. But yeah, I don't know. I felt like, and I'm sure Black Twitter agreed with me, that they sold us on a social theory, on a social thriller, right, that there were going to be some addressing of these things because she's married to a white guy. And then
Right.
they ended up in my opinion, and I'm telling my age now, but it felt like a Scooby-Doo cul-de-sac.
Well, because it was a play off the original Burbs that starred
Right,
Tom
right,
Hanks. So it was
right.
supposed to be it's supposed to be a reimagined version of the Burbs. But so you guys can check it out on Peacock. But here's the poll. If you moved into the safest town in America and the neighbors were acting like Get Out levels of weird, would you A, stay and investigate like Kiki, be the detective, or B, pack the U-Haul immediately, the realist, or C, mind my business and keep the gate locked, the low profile? So put in the chat if you had to move to one of the safest town in America and you got the Get Out vibes, which one would you do? A, be the detective, B, leave, or C, mind your business and lock your gate? I think that it depends on my finances.
Really?
I mean, if I had to stay there, I would just lock the gate. But if I had the opportunity to leave, I mean, I'm a realist, right? If I buy a house in a nice suburban community, I mean, I'm here. What am I going to do? You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to lock the gate. But if I had the opportunity to move and leave, then I think that I would just pack up and try again.
Okay, I don't know. Well, let's see what the people say. People say C. A lot of people say C. Dr. Marilyn says B. I'm going to move to the second safest town. That's funny. That's a good perspective. A lot of people are saying C. What was C again? What was C?
Oh, C was mind my business and keep the gate locked.
I couldn't do that because see, one thing especially at this tender age that I am now, you ain't gonna play with me.
Tender age.
You ain't gonna play with me. I'm not spending a whole lot of money. I'm not paying for a mortgage and all that stuff to be microaggressed, to be micromanaged, telling me what I can pay, what I can do. I know HOAs exist. I totally get it, but I'm not putting up with all of that nonsense when I'm paying top dollar to be somewhere. I don't have the patience to do that anymore. I think if I was younger and I was single, I would stay investigate and think I can change and teach. At this age, pull that U-Haul up. Let me get the hell out of here because I am going to end up hurting somebody. I can't deal with Karens. Karens bring out a rage in me.
And Karens get people killed.
It brings out a rage in me that I never knew existed. And I'm going to tell you, those Karen videos on Instagram and social media, they're like one of my favorites because I always love just hoping that the Karen's going to get beat up. I'm sorry. I had to say it.
You had to say it.
I mean, that's just how I feel.
Okay, so the chat, they're chiming in about, would they stay, would they go, or would they investigate? Nobody said they investigated. Ain't nobody interested in what they minding their business. Black folks, we know how to mind our business. Now we do look out the window. Now we're gonna look out the window and we might call across the street and say, girl, did you see what happened next door? But we ain't getting involved. We're not doing it. Not today. Right. So let's talk about Tyler Perry is officially back in the director's chair. And today, Joe's College Road Trip on Netflix was released. So breaking away from his usual Madeira universe, Perry is focusing on Uncle Joe, the fan favorite, in a chaotic family comedy. Early reviews are calling it a classic Perry comfort watch. Perfect for Black History Month and family living. Have you watched it yet?
I haven't watched it, but of course, I've had to read all of the reviews and stuff. The best thing that I just love, so much is going on here. Right. I'm gonna wash my tongue and I'm gonna watch it carefully because the one thing I do have to praise Tyler Perry for is that he's a genius because he understands something just about the economy of entertaining, right? Okay. And it's called market demand. And right now in our country, in the market demand for who he creates his content for, Black people, we need to laugh before we lose it. And this to me, Taylor Perry, is basically like that emergency blanket of Black entertainment when the world is cold and chaotic. He wraps you up in a storyline. He throws in a sermon, and and then he shows the wig shift. I just feel like he's just so talented in understanding and having his finger on the pulse when it comes to our culture, when it comes to our sensitivities, when it comes to making us feel okay and seen and heard and understood. So all of that I really, really like. And in all honesty, for Black History Month, I need to support. But I'm gonna need him to get out the court system with these people that don't look like us. And I just had to put that.
Did you just put that out there?
Yeah,
I didn't know we was going to go around that corner. I didn't know if we was going to go around that corner. But before we go around that corner, I want to just say I like everything you said, because it said it's a comfort film. And we were talking about all of the chaos, and all of everything, the mental impact all this is having for us. And that's one thing Tyler Perry can do. And that is make us laugh. Remind us of the Black experience, and he's taken his nephew or son, grandson to an HBCU, I believe. It just keeps us in our Black joy bubble. And I love that for us. I
love the fact that man is going to keep a Black creative employed. And he's kept and created an entire economy with Black creatives that affords us a different voice. And baby, that's something we absolutely cannot ignore. And we must at all times, like Oprah, celebrate it.
Yeah. And since we went around that corner, let's go back around that corner.
You like a little mess.
But to your point, I feel like there might be a little hateration, people feeling like, oh, well, you doing all that for your people. What about me over here in your closet? Right. What about me? You know what I'm saying? And so, I don't know. Maybe if Tyler came out, maybe it would erase all this stuff.
Maybe so. Yeah. I think that's a.
I mean, that's what the word on the street. That's what the word on the street is. I don't know. I'm not saying either way, but I've just said a lot of people say that.
Well, Tyler, I know a little bit about this. Tyler and I are about the same age. Tyler's background, Tyler's rearing, if you read the book or watched the documentary, it gave me very much trauma, and especially in this space of his identity, and especially in the space of his sexual identity and preferences. It's just so much trauma there. And he's just got a whole lot that he has to unpack. But Neil, I will say this. Okay. I would prefer that he continue to try to figure out how to unpack that while creating a generation of wealthy Black people the way that he has with his own studio, with the way that he has empowered the creatives, the actors. Those families have been able to put their kids through college. Those families have been able to create economies with businesses. Those families, he has stepped it up. He said to Hollywood, forget you, because you won't give us the jobs. We've entertained you for centuries, and you still won't give us the space that we deserve. So I'm going to do it for us. And not only has he done it for us, but he has created the most wealthy Black entertainers in the history of this country. So if that means we get that and you stay in the closet, sir, take your time in that closet.
Let R. Kelly sing it. Let R. Kelly stay in the closet.
Stay in the closet and do what you got to do, because we are changing generational curses through the single finger and eye of one individual, and that's called Tyler.
And it ain't nobody's business, okay? And it's so funny because every time we have somebody that on the show, or I've worked with somebody for a booking on a show, and they've worked with Tyler Perry, the first thing they say is there will be no Tyler Perry slander over here.
That's right. Well,
Tyler cuts good checks, and Tyler has my back, so there will be no slander. No slander.
Let's be clear, and he pays on time. And if any of us have worked for us, sometimes you got to hold your check till Monday.
Okay. Don't put Here it is, but don't put it in there yet. Just, wait 1 minute.
I got you.
I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna text. Oh, I know that so well. Okay, let's talk a little bit of Olympic headlines. And this is how I baited Al to join us this morning. Stella Jean, who designed the costumes for, not the uniforms for the Haitian Olympians this time around. She was supposed to join us this morning. She had to reschedule. And so, Al, you're going to have to come back and join us when she comes back next week.
I would love to do it.
Okay, cool. And Dr. Mellon says, I like Al. We need him back. Great energy. So, that's the hook, y'all. That's how I got him. I said, I got somebody over here I want you to talk to. So we're going to get her back, and we're scheduling for her to join us next week. Because when I saw, did you see? We could talk about it, though. Did you see?
I loved it. First of all, are we talking about, you want to talk a little bit about it?
Let's talk about it.
First of all, for me, you couldn't get a better expression married to fashion, married to just creativity. What can you say? This right here, the virality of this should be bigger than Ralph Lauren's Olympic uniform. You
for
remember
the
Ralph
US.
Lauren's? Right.
Well, they're this time around too. They're the uniforms for the USA. They've designed
which is brilliant, right? All I'm saying is, for me, that lady, that woman, that design, everything across the board for me spoke to the culture, spoke to the influence of the culture, spoke in the spaces in a loud voice that for them, Haitians have been demonized. Haitians has been defranchised. It was, I enjoyed everything about it. I love the colors. I love the expression.
Yes, gorgeous.
And if you know anything about Haitian culture, for me, finally they are able to speak in a space freely and openly and get the recognition that they deserve.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So one of the things we need to do too is get the questions to them in advance, because her English is, she's from Italy. She lives in Italy, and her English. So she wants us to send her the questions in advance so she could be prepared for us. So send me over your questions so I can send them to her. So
I want to talk about the symbolism. I want to talk about art. I want to talk about inspiration. It's hand painted, it's Italian, it's artisan,
and that they had to repaint it or paint over the horse's head,
right? It's also the resistance, it's the erasure of Haitian culture that she's brought back to the forefront. It's just so much to unpack. I can't wait till she come back, because
send me your questions so I can send them today so we can get that date booked, rescheduled. And so moving on, since we're talking about the Olympics, Layla Edwards, who is the first woman to play hockey for the US. She also made history again, becoming the first Black woman to score a goal in Olympic hockey history. And so she's one to watch. She's the one that is exciting us, and her goal secured massive victory for Team USA and has made her a breakout star this time around.
Right. That's just so exciting. That just whenever we're in spaces where we're not expected to be and still performing at the highest level just gives me pride in a whole different level, right? It's like, I cover a lot of the red carpets and the award seasons and stuff. And I'm definitely an Issa Rae person who are you going for? Anybody Black. If I see a Black person against a white person, I'm always going for the Black person. And in this case, hockey, it's less than 1% of Black people in hockey. And I mean, when I say less than 1%, it's less than 1%, like 0.3% in hockey. So to see her do this and do it on the Olympic stage, which is an international stage, just brings warmth to my heart.
Nancy Wall says, I think she's from Cleveland, Ohio. Lori J9 says, so glad I found you guys this morning. I'm loving the conversation. So we have a few more stories to get through, so stick around. And let's move on to some more sports. So before the big game on Sunday, the spotlight is on HBCU students, as the HBCU Classic at the Kia Forum will be held on Saturday. Now, the North Carolina AT&T Aggies face off against the Hampton University Pirates. Now, this is the 4th year of the tradition, and with Los Angeles, serving as the backdrop, expect a who's who of Black Hollywood on the sidelines to supporting the culture and student athletes. So, of course, HBCUs are taking over tomorrow. It's going to be a time in LA this weekend with the NBA All-Star. I wish you were here, Al. There's so much going on.
Yes. Let me tell you. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's good. You go ahead. Well, no,
you know me. You know me.
I'm about to go there. But there's so
you
much.
know me, because when I hang out with you, she's always like, "Let me finish."
Right. But he just
That's what I'm gonna say, because I'll be ready to jump in there.
But the one thing about this weekend, so today you have the retired players carnival festival with Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick. I'll be at that this afternoon. Tomorrow you have the HBCU, the Slam Dunk contest. Ludacris is performing. Chloe Bailey is performing the national anthem and the Star Spangled Banner at the game over in Inglewood, which is where most of the activities are happening. Mayor James T. Butts, who is Black, who leads the city, they have so many activations. Nike is taking over Crenshaw High School, which you might see Juju Watkins with those new sneakers. I mean, it's bananas here in LA this weekend, and I'm just ready to get into it.
It's this makes me so excited, and to be honest with you, it's something that should have been going on for decades now. This is the 5th year, and it's very important, right? From an African American perspective, the NBA HBCU Classic matters because it happens to be one of the rare times that HBCU excellence gets placed on a global stage. And it's not just any stage, it's a global sports stage without having to like audition. And we're not like singing. You know what I'm saying? The All-Star weekend and partnering with the NBA, there are a couple of things that I always say about this that people have to really understand. The NBA employs 8 out of 10 of NBA players are African American or people of color. The median income is $7 million. You know, the average income is $11 million for an individual between the ages of 18 and 35. That created economy for somebody that looks like you and I is huge. And to have this marquee platform, and we're talking about marquee platform that pulls in media, sponsors, celebrities, and executives, they are already built into the experience and they are attached to it. That gives us so much influence. That gives us so much power. That gives us so much voice. And especially in a time when we're trying to be muted. So I have to always in this space applaud the NBA because see, they have explicitly framed the Classic as part of its commitment to increase support and awareness of HBCU athletes, as well as they are committed to giving money in educational and career opportunities. And they're doing it this year directly and making it easier for you to donate. And this is the one time that you can get all these wealthy people who make money off of the backs of people that look like you and I to put their money where their mouth is. And this is an event that offers that visibility and that partnership to do it. Now, they also
I hear what you're saying. But I know a lot of basketball fans say that the NBA All-Star game is messed up. A lot of people blame LeBron for it. But for a sports fan, they are not happy with the way the NBA has changed the NBA All-Star game. And they are not happy with the way, they say LeBron has messed up the game. Now, I don't know about the LeBron factor, but I know the way that they used to play East versus West has totally changed. I know last year it was just something totally different. And I think this year it might be, you know, the world against the NBA players. So most people wanted to go back to the good old days with East versus West and just keep it simple.
You know, this is being commercialized. And I think clearly it's just like any other corporate partnership. They're moving where the money is and where they can get the money and where they can keep the support and also keep the mission even. And yeah, it's very commercialized now. It's not like when we were growing up. It was definitely watching the best of both coasts compete against each other and see who was going to pull it off, because that meant who had the best, you know, who was the best at the game. But I'm not mad at it, because you have never heard historically Black college and universities mentioned in media this much. You've never seen this type of money being raised. You got to remember this, because the current administration has taken all the money from us through all our different titles and federal government. We have to, in order for HBCUs to exist, we have to create these type of partnerships to bring in money. It's because of activations like this that people like, what's his name's wife gave all of those. She gave what, close to $1 billion.
Oh, Melinda Gates. Melinda Gates.
Yes. And so, no, not Melinda Gates. Melinda Gates does the Gates Foundation. We're talking about,
I know who you're talking about.
The ex-wife of, gosh, it's not going to come to me now, but
and I put it in the chat. You know who we're talking about. The chat is going to pick up and put it in the chat.
They'll put it in there. He just got remarried. Jesus.
Anyway. Bezos.
That's right. Bezos' wife. Yes.
Bezos' wife. Yeah.
So it's because of that awareness.
Mackenzie Scott.
That's right, Mackenzie Scott. Because of that awareness that's created, because of that breakdown in the narrative of teaching people the importance of what HBCUs need, it was brought to her attention. And obviously we know where that came from. We talked about her mentor in her college days and all that great stuff. But now people actually get to see and understand on a global stage the support that HBCUs needs. And I'm happy about this type of stuff, even though it's commercialized, because I work at a HBCU that she just recently gave $100 million to.
Okay. How y'all spending that money? What's going on?
Hey, you know, one of the biggest things that you have to learn as an HBCU, like, we need money, period. But you want to focus your monies around your endowment. You want to focus your money around how to recruit more students to the university, around research-based stuff, STEM-based stuff, those types of things. So it's the hope that our leadership at Bowie State University will take their fiduciary responsibilities very serious and continue to put out, because as you know, HBCUs create 85% of the judges in the country. It produces more than half of the medical doctors in the country. It produces 90% of the military leaders in the country. We have a space that has to be protected, and we have to continue to infuse money to make sure that those statistics still remain high as we influence and lead in technology, in medicine, in education, and in science.
Yeah, I mean, the hope, you know, I want to stay in the bubble. I want to stay in the Black bubble. Okay, let's just stay in the Black bubble. Before we get out of here, we have some events zigzagging across the United States for Black America to celebrate love and culture. Let's start with the new edition, Boys to Men and Toni Braxton's tour. It hits the Prudential Center tonight for a massive Valentine's Day kickoff. I went to the show here in LA. It's almost 4 hours long, and it is worth every single minute and dollar that you put into it. Okay. I mean, it's just nostalgia. It is like timeless. Okay. It is the best thing that you could do to release after you've had a long week of political and committee hearings on Capitol Hill, Donald Trump and white folks and white supremacists terrorizing us. Go to the New Edition concert and set yourself free.
I mean, I hear that the weekend is proof that Black folks don't just survive, right? We curate joy like it's a given. And what other better way than to get people together, like you said, to release all of this horrible news and this incredibly chaotic politics and this unwanted stress that all of this division and hate is costing us. Hey, go listen to Tony Braxton talk about a heartbreak of some sort and feel good about
No,
it.
go listen to Bobby Brown and hear him talk about it's our prerogative. Okay, don't be
Right,
cruel.
right.
New edition, Mr. Telephone, but it's just great. But let's head to Savannah, where the Black Heritage Festival continues today with a segment on the enduring legacy of the Divine Nine. Celebrating Black Greek letters and organizations. Now, are you a member of the Divine Nine?
Absolutely. I belong to the best fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. What, yo? You already know.
All right. Well, then let's head to Philadelphia, where the Philadelphia Museum of Arts is hosting a special Black History Month edition of its Friday Night Jazz series featuring live jazz fusion and local Black artists. And then let's head to your Orangey. Can you give me a minute? I'm getting to you right now. This is the last weekend for Mardi Gras in New Orleans, leading up to Fat Tuesday on Tuesday, February 17th. And Warren G says it is the Zulu Ball tonight. Okay.
Right.
I want to go to a ball, a Mardi Gras ball. Zulu is one of the oldest social aid and pleasure clubs founded in 1960. Have you ever done Mardi Gras?
Yes. Oh my goodness. You know, DC has a large Mardi Gras community here. They have a huge ball every year, and it's $450 a ticket, believe it or not. But Mardi Gras is always, to me, when I was coming through in college, you wanted to sneak away to Mardi Gras just to kind of like find your center. You know, it's just the love, the celebration, the music.
I love New Orleans.
I love New Orleans. The food,
the
music. But more than anything, it's just the culture, right? It's just the culture. And like I said, you know, we have to find spaces to let all this aggression that we've had that's actually been created inside of us because what's going on in this country. The Mardi Gras is the perfect outlet. It's the celebration of culture. It's the celebration of history. It's the celebration of music. It's the celebration of creativity. It's the celebration of all things that look like you and I. So it's a safe haven for us.
It's a spiritual vibe. You know what I'm saying? It's such a cultural, and it's also a time where it brings people together of all hues and colors, right? You know, you might be standing in the parade with a white person next to you, a brown person, and all y'all trying to get the if I got a coconut, then I'll let you get the next coconut. Okay, and I'm saying if I got the pearl beads, then I will let you get the next. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want some beads? Let me give a little cleavage for you. Let me get you some beads.
Well, you got a lot of cleavage to give.
You know? So there is so much fun in New Orleans and Mardi Gras. I know I spend if I can't get to New Orleans, I've only been once. I spend my Mardi Gras at Harold and Bells here in LA.
Oh, okay.
They put on a fabulous Fat Tuesday. So Tuesday, I'll be at Harold and Bells. I don't know if I should put that out there, but every Black person in LA gonna be at Harold and Bells, and I get there before 2:00 because it's free. Okay, after 2:00, it's a $20 cover charge. So I get there at 1:59. Okay, and we go all night at H&B's. Okay, and I still have a huge bag of beads that I got from the last time I was in New Orleans. Okay, so I just get my beads, I got my mask, and I'm ready to hit. You know, I'm ready. They have the brass band. I mean, I got my white handkerchief. You know, you got to have your white handkerchief,
right?
And you go. So, you know, that's the option this weekend in your city. Somebody is celebrating Mardi Gras. Celebrate Mardi Gras and do it wisely and have a hurricane for me. Okay. All right. Next thing to do is yesterday, a classic. Okay. A cultural classic turned 38. And I'm talking about School Days. Okay, so School Days turned 38. Yeah. Spike Lee posted it and he said, "Wake up." And he spread the news, but he's also hosting a screening on Tuesday, the 17th, at the Brooklyn Academy of Music in New York City. So if you want to go see School Days with the man who did the thing, Spike Lee, you want to be at the Brooklyn Academy of Music in New York City on Tuesday. Fat Tuesday, that is. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Yes, that's the only thing I don't have. Dr. Maryland is an umbrella. And then okay, so then let's jump into our Black facts since you took mine. One of them, which is Black Love, which started in 1993, and it's about peace, love, and community, and it's celebrated annually on February 13th, and it was founded by A.O. Handy Kendi, and so today is Black Love Day, and I love it because today is Friday the 13th, right?
Right.
So we're going to celebrate Black love. We're going to take that option. And last but not least, in the year of 1996, Al, the Fugees released the massive hit album, The Score. What was your song off of this album?
Oh, geez, there are so many. You got to remember, 1996, I was in graduate school. So for me, you remember we had someone, who was it, Dr. Maryland maybe said it, or I'm not sure, in the chat, someone said that rappers took on, no, Greer, your producer, talked about how rappers took on, politics, and they were the voice of the politics. That's what, whenever I think about the Fugees in every song on that release, it didn't just chart, it shifted the culture. That's why we love them and want to see them back together and actually show up to concerts on time. It was one of those projects where you can, right? It's one of those projects where you can hear the era's politics. You felt the pain in their voice as they delivered it. And you also got a pride. All of that was wrapped into that track list. Name one, and I like them all.
Right. I'm looking now. And I mean, what was the first one they came out? Ooh la la la. It's the I like that one.
Yeah.
No, that's not it. That ooh la la la. And of course, Killing Me Softly was on there. And I mean, that's the thing about the Fugees and Lauryn Hill. Did the Fugees ever put out another album, or was that the only one?
See, I'm not that versed in all that they
didn't have that many. I think that Greer, do you know, was that the only album they had? I looked to see.
Technically no, because they had singles.
Right.
They had a couple of singles prior to that record, and and they were they had a bunch of singles. So yes and no. Right. It was their last record together.
Mike V says they only had the score. Yeah, it's called The Score. Mike V says they only had 2 albums. Mike V says they only had 2 albums. Then they went solo. That's the only one that the Score is the one that I remember. And then of course,
Blunted on Reality.
I don't remember that one.
They had a bunch of singles. No, that was a single.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact, I believe it was a mixtape prior to those 2 records before they even.
So yeah, but today The Score came out, so you can listen to that, or you can just go over to The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Same thing. She only put out 1 album, and she's still eating off that thing. That's the type of generational wealth you want to build. Okay, make timeless music like that. But we're out of time. It's at the half of the hour, and so Al, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Definitely want you to come back when we get Miss Stella Jean on and have this conversation, because you're the pair for that conversation. I already know. I hear it in my ear. We want to thank you guys for tapping in. Another great week, another great week of co-hosts. We'll have more for you next week. And in the meantime, and in between time, you can head over to blackpressusa.com for the latest in Black news, Black culture, and for today, Black joy. Peace and love, y'all. Have a great one.
Have a good weekend.